Is this okay? Audio is good. Audio is good. Hi guys. Nobody's here right now. How you doing? All we gotta do is tell the people on the socials that we're live and we're good to go. Bippity boppity. Let's see. Hey guys, we are live now broadcasting, so if you're interested in hopping along for a chat and asking some photography questions, doing a bit of a live edit with us, then hop on board. Hop on board? That wasn't weird. Just come on. I post that in 3 different places, and since this channel has 6 subscribers, I doubt that y'all are gonna get here before I am done. Just kidding, there's every likelihood that you do get here before I'm done. That one, post.
We are all set up, assuming that there are
Upload to story.
We are all set up, assuming that there are
Upload it.
issues like there were last night. Then we will
Can y'all hear me very well? If you're here. Speaking of, I want that set to live chat so I can see everybody. Hi everybody. Now that is, come on TikTok, finish posting. Almost. I need like a waiting scene. I realized that you guys don't have to wait through this. I also just realized that all of my social links are wrong. Hi, surprise, that is wrong. So get rid of that one. That is wrong. Get rid of that one. That is wrong. Oh, ew, that one's wrong as well. I need to correct all of those. So that's all done, that's all done. Posting on YouTube for you beautiful people to encourage you to come across. And then we're going to be good to scold. No. Welcome to our first edits. You know what? Almost there, just one more bit. Cool. So that should be am I able to like grab the broadcast and share it? Shit, there we go, copy link. Cool. Awesome. Awesome sauce. Hi guys. Well, we're just chilling a little bit right now. Maybe I can't. It's streaming that YouTube has decided it doesn't want me to Okay. Oh, hi, wife. Oh, ew, have I got a bitrate rate lower than what it needs to be? That's disgusting. Oh, I need to check my settings. I didn't realize I had that lower than it had to be. Weird. There we go. Alright. We're all good. We're up. We're sorted. We're going. And we're live. What is my settings for bitrate? On stream video. I don't actually have bitrate settings currently. Changed to... No, it's currently set to be whatever the stream service wants my bitrate to be. Ah. Well, that's annoying. Well, maybe it's just because... Let's go. Cool. So, it is lovely to have you all on board. Whoever is here, whoever you might be, welcome to our little bit of live editing. Also, there we go. That's nice. I like that background light. It's good. Now I am hoping to, there we go. Recording audio down there. That should be good. That's going to be a much nicer audio file than the one coming out of here. How's my audio, guys? Am I sounding good? It is lovely to be here, lovely to be about. It is very different streaming on this channel because we don't have any too much traction on it yet. So I'm hoping that we can get a bit more traction, which would be awesome. Now, we went to Sculptures by the Sea over the weekend. It was a great time. We took some great photos and we can edit those together today. Go through them a little bit. What do you say? Compadres. First image, this one here. I love it. It's a good image. It's got good vibes. I will admit a lot of the sculptures are really tricky to get a good angle on because a lot of the time you look at them and you go, what's the best way to capture them? Because obviously you look at it from the point of view of you want to be capturing the entirety of the sculpture, but it's difficult. One like this one, I mean, this was the whole sculpture. It was a bit difficult to find an appropriate angle that captured it and then didn't create a bunch of background noise. So I liked getting in close and getting a bit of detail, which was awesome. So on this one, I mean, if we were to do an auto, what would it automatically edit? It just gives it some light, okay. I would say give it a bit of this one. I really like fooling around with highlights. I feel like reducing highlights is something that I like to do because it gives a bit of pop. Similarly, bringing down the blacks creates a real good contrast. Kind of like a cheap man's way of adjusting whatchamacallit? The S-curve. Everyone talks about the S-curve. So this is what we're looking at currently in terms of our settings. It's a good little simple mix. Now, looking at the image, I do enjoy the colors that we've got going on, but I do want to fool with them a little bit. So we've got our midtones here. Actually, I'll start with the shadows. Our shadows I would probably bring for this image into almost a bit of a purples. The highlights, we want to contrast with those purples, so I would dare say somewhere up around a green, and the midtones similarly somewhere in between. And then what we'll do is we'll jump into each of those individually, bring way down the saturation, because we definitely don't want these to be overpowered. not in the slightest bit overpowering. So here we've now thrown on our bit of color grading, and if we jump down, so that was what it was before, and all we've really done is added a little bit of that purple hue to the stone, which really is just created a bit of same as what our tints would do, is what I want to say. Up here, so we've got our tints. So the tints help us to control if there's any sort of excessive greens or in the image. Helps to balance, create white balance. Now on here, I would 100% be looking at grabbing, what's it suggest that the subject is? I'm curious to know what its automatic subject search is going to detect. Interesting detection. Very interesting detection. I'll delete that mask. I don't like what it's chosen there. So I'm going to go custom mask. We'll highlight the image or the actual main portion of the sculpture. Gonna add to that now with a larger one to be able to get all of those internals that we missed with the smaller brush. There we go. And awesome. So now that we've got that highlighted, what I really want to do is make it pop a bit more. So we'll bring up the contrast by about a half. We will bring up the saturation because I will want to get some more of that color there. Or even new 100 is way too much. So if you come down here to our saturation, I'm thinking 50 is good because it's 0. You see nothing. 50, 0, 50, 0, 70, 0. I think 50 brings out a good amount of the color. Or I could fool around with the color temperature, but that seems a bit aggressive. Maybe -5. Bring up the contrast. The blacks back down. The shadows way, too far up. And the lights up a bit. So now, if we go back below, before that we had that there. With it all, we get a lot more detail to the actual whatchamacallits, the sculpture itself, which I think is awesome. Now, something else that we can do, you just pop a linear gradient on the left hand side here, where it's quite bright, and in this section, I almost want to go down, not quite a full -1, but we'll give it a try. I want to wash it out a little bit, bring the highlights way down. The shadows can stay the same, and we'll bring the blacks down. 25, okay. Now adjusting that, it actually feels a bit too excessive. So what we'll do is move that about a little bit. And awesome, that next gradient has just allowed us to have a bit more control. Let's say add linear gradient and then boom. So back to there and then to there. That's giving us a little bit more control over those colors. Now looking at the image as a whole, bringing in that little bit of darkness does make me want to then bring up the overall exposure of the image. And there we go. Somewhat a bit of a vignette almost on the side there is what we've managed to achieve, which is really cool. And we've got a very good use of color here. I like that image. Using masking in Lightroom is such an awesome tool. It is really good to have this sort of control. And I love that about Lightroom because you do get that control over the image. Moving, let's see, what's next? I like that. That's good for me. I'm gonna actually save that one. I'm gonna highlight it red. What was red again? 1. Set rating to new. Set label to yellow. New. 6 is red. Awesome. We got there in the end. Something else that's really interesting was on some of these ones. I saw this one. You might have seen it if you went to the sculptures by to see yourself. But this sculpture here. Wait. Here. I need to learn to point in the right direction for this, because for me it's over here, but for you it's down here. This sculpture was really interesting. It had a lot of these notches just carved out of the stone. I must admit I didn't really understand the vision too much the artist had, but the detail that was present was undeniable. It was very cool. So bringing forward some of these details. Let's have a look. There, that very aggressively brings forward some of the details, but I have to unfortunately push the blacks quite far down to try and bring out some of the detail. Well, actually, what if we hack it the same way we did before with a bit of a gradient? So I'm thinking is line the gradient up with that edge there. Bring it over a bit. Down a bit. Alright. Now if I bring the exposure down on just this section. Awesome. That really highlights a great deal of the detail that is present in this marble. At least I assume it's marble. We can bring back the blacks on this section here. And again, I still really want to have some of that detail, and I might get that out of adjusting some of the color tone actually. There you go, bring up the warmth really creates a juxtaposition between this top end, which is frankly very, very, I want to say black, but it's very blue. It's very somber almost, which is awesome. The colors themselves are so good, but trying to have everything highlighted. I mean, take a look at, if we highlight this sort of section here, like you could see so much detail in the rock face. And I really can only assume that that was what the artist, the sculptor, was going for when he worked on this piece. But doing that, let's have a look. If we were to now bring up the exposure just the tiniest bit, there we go. I feel good about that. So let's see what we got. We got this all edited through here. I would probably try to do something similar to what we did before with our color grading. What are we looking at for shadows? I liked what we achieved with the other one, with the other photo, using the almost purple and greens color scheme. And I'll even jump in with a bit of, not blue, bit of orange. So we got the first saturation, the purples, we want to bring that right down, we don't need it too high. Saturations on the greens, definitely don't need it too high, and then the oranges, also not needed to be too high. So if we jump back to the exposure, and then what we've done, implementing some of those greens into the image, is you see we've actually muted. So before we had a lot more like blue tone in here. Adding the green creates almost a bit more of a neutralized color. So jumping back, actually can I? No, I'm not too sure how to jump between the two. But look, it really helps to neutralize the color there, having it set up this way, which I think is really awesome to see. So that's the next image, done. Look at us go. Doing great things. Sculptures by SC really did have some interesting things. This pile of trash bins was interesting. I don't know what the purpose of a pile of trash bins is, but it looked pretty. I won't lie. I mean, look at it. It is pretty. I don't know what the vision again was. Maybe it's a commentary on waste that we dump into the ocean, maybe, or something like that. But it was neat. This one here is pretty easy to figure out what to do for a start. I want to be getting that horizon straight. There we go, I think. Is that straight now? It feels straight. Straight off the bat, if you've got a horizon in the image, you really want to be straightening it. Because crooked horizon just does not, like, your eyes look at that and they know it should be straight, and if it isn't, it just feels wrong. Like, check this out, right? That image feels crooked because you've got these leading lines here that are visibly crooked, as well as these ones here, visibly crooked, and even the path, though it's a little less obvious because obviously paths can wind to begin with, but it's so many elements that just you can tell something is wrong. So straightening that up not quite as accurately as we would like to. Cool. What I'd actually do while we're in there is bring this down a bit more over the actual trash collection, so the trash collection is a bit more centralized to the image. Like that. Awesome. Now on this one, contrast, doing a bit of a cheat. We'll bring that right up a little bit. Highlights will bring up, surprisingly. I know, FJ, what are you doing? Bringing up highlights? I thought you said that you didn't want to do that no matter what. You are right. I try to avoid bringing up my highlights, but sometimes it is important. And awesome. Now, something I would find very interesting with this image is jumping into our color mixer and taking a look at some of the colors that we have available to us. Some of what we've got, such as saturation, I would love to see what this looks like as a predominantly blue image, because I think that that would be very interesting. We're gonna. Wow. Alright. I think that looks pretty neat. As a predominantly blue image. I like it. I think these are some really interesting strategies or different designs that I've seen people do, wherein they have very much edited single, wasn't supposed to do that, single colors. I mean, you can do the flip side as well. You could edit this to be predominantly red as opposed to predominantly blues. I mean, that looks awesome, but if we were to create let's go create a virtual copy, give me the copy, and in the copy we did the flip side of that. Let's say, still want to have the negative on the trees, because I don't want those colors, but, whoa. I will bring the trees back in a little bit because I think that's really beautiful color. The yellows I'm going to bring more towards an orange because I want more of a red tone, I think. Even the oranges more towards a red. Ooh. That might have actually gone too far, I think, doing the reds as well. The oranges more towards a red. Might actually look better if I do that more towards a yellow. No, it does not look better more towards a yellow. What I'm then looking at is here the luminance. This is looking at how bright the image ends up looking, or certain aspects of the image start to look. Yeah, that's good there. And then we could probably make the greens a deeper color. I think that would be very, very helpful. As well as the blues, the aquas and the blues. Wow. That looks awesome in my opinion. I mean, the arc was more towards a blue, even though you can't see them, and the blue is more towards a magenta sort of color. Awesome. That looks awesome. I love that. Playing with the colors like that is really, really great and has some great effects. So we've got a predominantly blue, same image. Remembering, same image. Although I would almost experiment with, not quite. Ooh. I almost actually think that's too much blue. In a way. I wonder what would happen if we too illuminated. Definitely want to eliminate that blue a bit. And that is awesome. Like the two contrasts there, like that is the same image, just edited two different ways. That one there looks beautiful, it's beachy vibes, it's so there is completely different. I mean, the vibe from color is just so powerful. Like you don't think about that. I mean, a simple way to take this one step further. So take that image that we already had. Now re-inject a bit of this color. Look at that. How easy it is to implement a lot more color back into the image. I want to be purple tones on the mids, on the midtones, definitely more of a blue tone. Unless we do blue tone more on the shadows. No, that's good. And then 10 on the shadow there, 20 and 20. I almost want to, yes. Okay. I'm full from dinner, but thank you. Okay. I love you. That's the kind of distractions that I like when I'm working. The cute kind, the wife kind. It's funny. Mm-hmm. But that was ultimately, like, it's interesting. So we've got the first image in full blue tone. Second image, we've done the same way, but with the orange tones, which is a very different image. This one almost feels like how do you describe? Like old film sort of a thing. Those more sepia tones. And it looks gorgeous, but it is something completely different. Then you've got this, or right in between these two. Now, if anything, I really want to saturate this front on this one to try and give it a bit more color. Because that grassed area really could use some more emotion, almost. I'm going to heavily oversaturate it. Alright, there we go. Now I don't need this one to be quite as green. I don't need this one to be quite as powerful, if you see it here. However, what we can then do is do a hue slider. Yeah, alright, I don't think there's anything that we can do with this that doesn't just look fake. Nah, I don't like this. So we're going back to here. It's very different, but I like it. And I don't want to screw around with it, because it is gorgeous. even though it would be very easy to. Next one that we got, which was really interesting, was this one here. And I tried to, it was a leaning tower, basically. And I tried to capture it straight on its, on sort of access point. On its, across its lines, I should say. This was a really good image. I thoroughly enjoyed this image. This one was really nice to capture. Now, my primary goal, or the thing, not primary goal, but the thing I want to do first is grab a guided edit, and I'm going to go up on the corners, drag it down to a point where that I want to be straight. I'm going to try and square off this design. There we go. Bring it down to here. Beautiful. Now if we click away from that into another window. Don't want it to be black and white. How do I make it so you no longer show me? Awesome. Okay, fine. I'll forever see. Awesome. So what we had was this one, 2. Give me a second. Come on. Is this with the tool on? That is with the tool on. What was the change? Wait, there. Ah, it's a very subtle change, but there is a change there. For a second there, I thought I was going mad and there wasn't any change, but there's definitely a change, though not too much. Interesting. Next thing I want to do with this one, you can see that there's already a beautiful blue tones, so we don't need to play around with the temperature too much. If I go too warm, we're going to kill those blues. If I go too cool, we're going to oversaturate those blues. I would say I do want to lean slightly more into a cool tone, so I'm going to bring that down a little bit. I want to bring the contrast up a touch. That's just an instant cheat there. Do my typical blacks, my shadows up, whites up, and highlights down, and we'll bring the exposure way too up apparently. Awesome. Then what I want to do is grab our brush tool and I'm going to try and just brush on this section here. We're going to just give it a little bit of a subtle, subtle, dang. I might type it in 4s and 7s instead of decimal places. Alright, subtle bit of brightness. I won't kill the contrast because it's going to make it way too obvious that we're doing this. I will bring the lights up slightly, and to compensate, bring the darks down. Same on this side, or what I will do is make it slightly warmer, not too warm, slightly warmer, so you can see that change before the brush. Slightly exposure. See, we slightly warmed up that side of the pillar, which looks exceptional. Now to brush on the other side. Same sort of thing, but I want to get it a bit more encapsulated. Sure thing. This side I want to really heavily bring on the darks. maybe not quite that heavily. I realize that adding too much to the blacks really does make your image seem a bit, I don't even know the word for it. It just makes it feel not really too real anymore. Bring that up. Highlights I'll actually accentuate a bit on here, and similarly I do want to bring up my highlights, my exposure a little bit. New. And I feel like we got a little too heavy on the darks, and I would bring that color temperature up a little bit just to mute out some of those blues. I might even desaturate it slightly because it's almost too saturated. If I wanted to really do something interesting, we could even change the color of that just for giggles, but that's probably not oh, it's not practical, but it looks pretty. There we go. We'll do a subtle change. Gorgeous. I like that. So if we then compare that to how it started, wait, let's go. These are our two images. The original versus what we then ended up. I mean, look at that. Like, just check out what this was versus what it is. Wow. That's so awesome. I think it is. I think it's great. Look at these parts. So even just on here, you see very clearly the vibrancy that we added to some of those green specks. In, let's see. In here, some of these green and browns, they're a lot more pumping with color and with feeling. I love that. Same, you can see just how muted they are on the other side. And it's lovely. The almost aqua. The colors that we're going with here, beautiful as well. Absolutely spectacular. Moving through. Our next image that I took, which I thought was quite interesting, bit weird, but interesting, was somebody had made this completely out of chicken wire. And I mean, you have to think the amount of work that would have gone into this. It's quite a great deal. Like, you have to think about that. It's weird. I find it weird, but it's beautiful at the same time. And there's a lot of intricate detail. Look at this, at these points. The way that light comes in and the layers from the chicken wire. There is so much depth of detail in here. Highlight some of it by instantly bringing in some contrast. We'll bring up the shadows to try and get some of that visual there. Bring down the blacks. Bring up the whites. And down the highlights. To do a simple sort of assessment, we can even bring in our tone curves. Bring our blacks down slightly. Our lights up. And overall, I might actually bring up the curve a little bit there. Awesome. So now we're getting a little bit of a better view of what we're working with. Oh, it looks exceptional. So good. Just from those simple adjustments there. Adjusting these settings and adding a bit to our tone curve. So looking at our curve here, look at that. So we do a little bit of a dip to begin with, which we then bring up, bringing our image a bit lighter in our mid-tones and our high tones, ending up with something that is just beautiful. Very beautiful. I love this. From this point, something that I think would be really beneficial is jumping into that color grading. Actually, no, probably before we even get to that, the white balance. I don't want to bring it down too much, but there we go. That neutralizes some of the very, very strong colors of browns and oranges that the piece had. Going through, Midtones on this one encapsulates a great deal of the image. So bring that down to purple, bring that down to 10. Awesome. Midtones is really important because this is the majority of the detail that we have. Going to make that into an orange, which is going to highlight a lot of those oranges that's already present in the image. And I'm going to make the highlights an aqua because that'll help to bring out, because the highlight tones ends up being a lot of the wire pieces itself. So bringing up those tones a bit does help us with a bit of that color information, which is gorgeous. Next up, we'll brush in a bit of detail here. First things first, adding a little bit of a lighting point. I'm going to create some artificial light here. Now if you ignore the shadow here, actually, no, the shadow is going in the right direction now that I think about it. You see a troll with funny hair. I can see that, yeah. It does look kind of like a troll with funny hair. I feel that. I'm not gonna argue with that one. Like the Trolls movie. Or the alien from Chicken Little. That is a very good reference. I approve that reference. That's quite funny. That is quite funny. What I want to do with... Dang! Did not mean to do that. Bring up the exposure too much. Obviously not what we want to do. I do want to increase the exposure a little bit on that side. Just to really... Oh gosh. Cool. Bring up the exposure a little bit will give us a very, very good sense of just brightness, I guess. Just overall awesome. That's awesome. Select subject. Let's see if it actually selects the subject properly. Look at that! But Lightroom works. Lightroom works. You bussin', Lightroom. You bussin'. Good job. Okay, well I can make the whole thing white if I ridiculously increase the whiteness. Whiteness? The white balance. That's not crazy at all. So now I do really want to enhance the image, but I also really don't want to take away from the beauty of it. Like that's way too bright. Even that feels too bright. I also want to see what it would look like in a different color. Looks neat. So check out what we've done here. So we've got the exposures all done up. Now I'm a little bit sus about the other mask now that I think about it. There we go. I'll duplicate and invert to be able to bring down the background. Whoa. And that's beautiful. Alright, I've now officially butchered the image by mistake. So you see, without adding that little bit of extra shading on the side there, we look like this. Adding it, we then give it just a little bit of shine along the edges. You don't really notice it until you notice it. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. It's very easy to neglect little details like that. Going back to the start, I've probably darkened the image a bit much and frankly added a bit too much need for an extra exposure. But yeah, there we go. How nice is that? That's cool. That's cool. I like it. Personally, I do feel like it is a little bit too dark around the edges. If I would, I'm actually going to go into that inverted mask. I'm actually going to bring up the blacks. And then, oh my gosh. Far too much. No, no, no. There we go. I've got the blacks up, the contrast in. That's really helped to wash out the background of color and really focus on that central point. What I can do to take this a little bit further is I can jump into the sharpness, bring that right down as well. Which doesn't actually do a great deal. But if you see, look at that. There's a very subtle amount of extra blur that is added to the image when we do that. That's awesome. That is awesome. It's the right amount of just focusing on the subject, which is what I was hoping for. So that does look really great. Cool. That's awesome. The next shots that I really liked was actually this guy here. This guy here had a real vibe going for him. And luckily, before you ask any questions, street photography and photography of people in public is dictated as being perfectly legal. There is certainly a very big grey area that comes in making sure that what you're doing is not unethical. Because obviously you still got to think about ethics when you're taking photos of people in public. But this guy here, his vibe was just, oh, amazing. I thought he was awesome. He looked like he knew what he was doing. He looked like he had the right suave, the right elegance, the right sophistication, let's call it, to be out here looking at, well, sculptures all day. He was out there because he wanted to be out there. I was out there also because I wanted to be out there, but I didn't appreciate it the way this man did. You could see, he knew what's up. He knew very much what's up. Look at him. Look at that expression. That was an expression of somebody who knew what's up. Look at that. Let's check out before and after. This is just a quick one, but the before and after on this. Boom. You get a lot more of the color into him. Even on his shirt and his clothing. But I accidentally swapped settings all the way back to back to the start. There we go. That's funny. The other shot that I got of him was this one here, which I thought looked really cool. I wonder if a mask will copy over. No freaking way. Sorry, excuse my French. But did the... Oh! Alright folks. I don't know if you knew this, but this is new information to me. If you copy a subject mask, it will then put that subject mask onto the subject of the new image. Automatic. Look at that. Who needs to actually put in effort to photo editing nowadays when Lightroom can just do it all for you? Like, why even bother at this stage, right? Why even bother? Now the only bit that I want to add to this is around his head, up here, just increasing this one exposure a little bit, bringing up the blacks actually, just in his face, and his hands actually, now that I think about it. And then what I'm also going to do is make him less flippin' purple. Because for some reason, his skin tone is very purple. Can't actually tell if that's my fault for making him purple by changing the tint in the first place. I think I need to change the tint down. To save some of his skin tone. There we go. And I might even desaturate him a little bit, because he has got a lot going on. And his hand is actually incredibly blue compared to the rest of him. So I'm going to actually do a specific mapping for the hand. There's nothing wrong with being blue, but the rest of him ain't blue. And I'm fairly certain that he wasn't blue when I took that photo. So, do him a bit of justice. And there we go. Look at that. So here we go, before and after. Let's take a proper squizzy. That is a human. This is very much a human. This is a human being. And that's the before and after. Like, look at how much brighter he looks. And this is something that I neglect a lot as a photographer when I am doing massive batch edits. It's very easy when you've got 500, 1,000, 2,000 photos to just do a quick basic edit and ignore masks. But the masks are in many ways the thing that ends up bringing your photos just to life beautifully. Because I mean, look at this guy. This guy, if we hadn't done these masks on him, we would not have unlocked all of that, I'd say not quite beauty, but just all of those natural colors that he had going on. What is this mask got? Yeah, we've captured all of them here. Awesome. Like, dang, man, you looking fly. I'm jealous of this dude. This dude looks awesome. I don't know how old this guy is. He looks like he's lived a good life. But if I look half as awesome as this guy does when I'm his age, I'll be happy. Just half as awesome. Not as awesome, half as awesome. Because he looks spectacular. Love these photos. Got more rocks. There was a lot of rocks that sculptures by see, I won't lie. I feel like, yeah. Maybe next year we petition for artists to use something other than rocks. Stacked on other rocks. So there was a lot of them. But they were gorgeous. They were gorgeous rocks stacked on other rocks. But there was a lot of rocks on rocks. Let's see, what else do I want to look at before it goes? I got some more photos of the trash cans up close. This was really awesome. I think getting the photo closer and getting a bit more of that detail looks awesome. I almost like it if it was cropped to this sort of size, so you can really see the detail. I think that's an awesome point for this. What else do we get? The chair around the tree. Now this is, I like this sculpture because of how much effort went into this. Like they cast a cement block around that tree. Like they had to do that there. They didn't put the cement block around the tree. They built that around the tree, which means that somebody went, set that up, probably took a good 20, I'd probably say like a full 24 hours. That'd be pretty, it's a big project. I would like to know whose idea it was to just put cement around a tree in the shape of a chair though. Like look at how well done that is. Like, props to you, City of Cottesloe, for thinking about cementing a tree in the shape of a chair. Not gonna lie though, more homeless people friendly park benches would be nice as opposed to a chair that you can't sit on. Just my 5 cents. That's awesome. But no, this is really cool. And I mean, if you guys want to say, have a look here. Before I go, let's break this down a bit better. I actually have something set up for this. Look at this. So these are the settings that we're working with for this guy. Let's scroll through them together. So we've brought up our exposure a bit, as well as our contrast. As always, I like to almost eliminate highlights, because the highlights, honestly, they get a bit tricky to work with. You know, if you have too much highlights, too much glare, it is annoying. If I zero this out right now, the image just becomes a lot more bright in all the wrong areas, which isn't what we want. Now that I think about it, I kind of want to bring the color temperature on his shirt down a bit. I only just noticed that. Doesn't actually look good. Huh. That sucks. But no, that is gorgeous. I like this photo. Am I frozen? No. I just look like a stunned mullet on the live stream. That's fine. Alright, well look guys, I think, take a look at this guy. This is good. This is a good guy. I'm gonna have to edit these, so you get a larger preview window. But I like it. With the amount of yawning I'm doing. I think it's time for us to say goodnight. As much as I'd like to stick around for you guys, I have places to be, and those places are bed. So, I really adored the time that we got together. What I'm going to say is, look, if you thought the live edit was cool, please let us know. I have got links on Instagram and on the YouTube page, not yet on the Facebook page, but I will put it there. That link will take you to a submissions form. you can submit your own images and we can edit your images live on the editing live stream. Benefit of that is I'm challenged to edit something that I have never seen before, because all of my images, I have something in mind when I take it. It's a little bit easier for me to have a specific sort of edit done to them, but I don't know your images. So this is a great place for me to learn and for me to also be able to educate, teach, and as a community for us to brainstorm together, which is awesome. So submit your images and we will see you all on the next live stream edit. God bless and have an amazing night.